Despite the speculation, no one who knew Area 51 from the inside ever talked publicly about the saucer story.
Well, there's several, actually 9 flying saucers, flying discs, that are out there of extraterrestrial origin.
He tells me this story. I mean, we couldn't get away with it now. We'd done no vetting at all. I don't even know his name. I get pulled off the set and pulled into the news director's office. The general manager comes back. What the hell was that? Is this for real? What did you just do? I said, look, I don't know if it's real. I have no idea. We just wanted to do an interview, but I'm going to find out.
The live interview with the shadowy Dennis drew international attention.
Actually 9 flying saucers, flying discs.
Despite numerous inquiries and feelers, Dennis has remained anonymous until now.
Sodal, the news director, and I arranged to meet this guy. We went up to Lear's house. It was sort of an uncomfortable situation in the beginning because Lear wanted to control the whole thing. He wouldn't tell us the guy's name, but the guy had signed a guest book at the entrance to Lear's home. So I saw his name. I knew what it was.
His real name is Robert Lazar, a young scientist with eclectic interests. The choice of Dennis was an inside joke. He says that's the name of his superior at Groom Lake. It wasn't a joke to Dennis.
He called right after and he said, "Do you have any idea what we're going to do to you now?" And I said, "Well, no." And he hung up the phone.
Lazar's story is, by any standards, fantastic. He says he's telling it in order to protect himself.
We go in there and we start talking to the guy who turned out to be Bob Lazar. He told us his life story, where he'd gone to school, where he'd worked before, and some of what he had seen out there.
He says he was hired to work at an area called S4, which is a few miles south of Groom Lake. At S4, he says, are flying saucers, antimatter reactors, and other working examples of technology that is seemingly beyond human capabilities.
Right, this came from somewhere else. I mean, as bizarre as that is to believe, but I mean, it's there. I saw it. I know what the current state of the art is, and in physics, and it can't be done.
After 3 or 4 hours of grilling him, we look at each other and go, holy crap, what if this is real? What if this is true? This would be the biggest story in history, but it's also perilous for us. If we go after it and it blows up in our face, it could destroy not only my reputation and his, but that of KLAS too.
Checking out Lazar's credentials proved to be a difficult task. He says he earned degrees in physics and electronics, but the schools we contacted say they've never heard of him. He also said he worked as a physicist at Los Alamos National Lab, where he experimented with one of the world's largest particle beam accelerators, a half-mile-long behemoth capable of generating 700 million volts. Los Alamos officials told us they had no records of a Robert Lazar ever working there. They were either mistaken or were lying. A 1982 phone book from the lab lists Lazar right there among the other scientists and technicians. A 1982 clipping from the Los Alamos newspaper profiled Lazar and his interest in jet cars. It too mentioned his employment at the lab as a physicist. We called Los Alamos again. An exasperated official told us he still had no records on Lazar. EG&G, which is where Lazar says he was interviewed for the job at S4, also has no records. It's as if someone has made him disappear.
Well, they're trying to make me a non-person.
Explain. You called where?
Well, the schools that I went to, the hospital that I was born at, past job, and essentially nothing comes up with my name in it.
He smiles, but out of futility, knowing the whole thing must sound ridiculous.
I don't think there's any secret flying saucers at Area 51. I suspect that there was something like that out there at one point because of people that I know have seen it.
So where would they be now?
Well, either they moved them further out into the Nevada test site. If you're out there at night, you will see these pockets of light that pop up in the darkness at places that do not exist. Something's out there.
After the sun goes down, it is a different vibe out here. It's almost totally pitch black. If we switch to the night vision, you can see better out here. I've never really experienced anything quite like it. There's no city lights. The military base, Area 51, is behind me. It's just wide open. The noises are interesting because it's obviously nature noises. You can hear the crickets. But then we've also heard military aircraft for the last probably hour or so. Obviously doing some kind of training missions. You can hear the planes flying overhead. You can't always see them. Sometimes there's flashing lights, sometimes there's not.
There's a movie right there to the left. See the left side of the frame?
And there's also been some other lights that have sort of popped up over the mountains and also in the brush. The light just turned off again. Oh, there's a plane.
It's true. What I have seen is true. I don't know about the big story, where they came from, what they're like, but certainly these crafts came from another, not just another planet, another solar system entirely, extremely far away, and they're here.
What we've learned this week is that the government has lied to us about UFOs, has withheld information, has spied on UFO organizations, and has discredited UFO witnesses. Now, none of this proves that UFOs are real, but it does indicate a disturbing level of interest, government interest, in the subject. If the government won't tell us what it knows, what about science? Well, science is supposed to stand for the investigation of the unexplained, not the explanation of the uninvestigated. And so far, science has avoided the subject like a plague. It's like what Roy Neary, the main character in the film Close Encounters, had to say: all we want to know is what's going on.
"36 years later, and we still don't know any answers to the big question."
Next week.
I wanted to tell you a story. It's about one of the adventures that we had. Something crashed
straight down out of the sky.
What if this is real? What if this is true? This would be the biggest story in history.
The evidence suggests we're being visited by some form of intelligence.
So they were definitely listening to you.
They were listening to my phone.
You can't imagine what pressure these people are under to cover this stuff up.
You could feel it, the eyes on you.
This is serious. It's been serious for a long time, and it's been ignored for way too long.
If you're right, everyone has been lied to.
Yeah, there's a sophisticated disinformation campaign targeting the U.S. populace, which is extremely unethical and immoral.
So you knew that the U.S. government was funding a secret program.
The keepers of the secrets are better at their job than people like us are at ours. And they're not going to let this thing go easily.